lot because you're at a different point in time in your life when you do things the second time. So please welcome Charlie. His speech, the title of his speech is here.
Hold
Here
this.
it is. What is it?
Hold this.
Hold it. Here, hold this. And the evaluator is Eric Hui, and the time for this is 4 to 6 minutes. Please welcome.
I don't know if you guys have parents or not.
Yeah, we don't know either.
Difficult question.
Well, you know what I mean. Well, I have, and recently, I don't know, many of you know, I went back to the USA for 2 weeks. I just got back on Saturday. And I found it very interesting that when I went back home, and I spent that 2 weeks mostly with my parents, I discovered some reasons why I am the way I am. And you know, my parents and your parents, our parents are getting older, right? But we are not. So it seems like they have some problems. Well, anyway, when I went home, well, just to revisit why I'm doing the project 1 again, is because I'm virtually finished with the speech making process in terms of the gold level. I'm nearly done, so I'm just starting over. But anyway, I went back home, and my father is a very active person, and he likes to fix things. So when I went home, he asked me if I could help him to change a window in the house. And he showed me how to help him do it, and I had some idea ready, so we got most of it done. It only needed about 12 or 13 hours. No, I'm just kidding. It was a fast job. But my father had all 800 million tools he needed, or actually he didn't need, he only needed one. But when we got the window almost out, it got stuck, like there was some stuff, there was a piece of metal around the edge, and it was holding it in. It was glued in, and suppose it was not supposed to be glued in. And he said, "Man, the people who installed this, they made it way too tight." And I asked him, I said, "Hey Dad, you're the one who put in this window." So anyway, I thought we could just scrape it out because it was just held in by that glue. And my father said, "No, wait, I got an idea." And he went and he got this gigantic saw, this big electric saw, and he turned it on and he said, "Okay, here, you hold it here and I'll cut." And so I grabbed it, and then my father put the saw right here. I'm like, I'm not gonna hold that. But it reminded me of something that happened when I was a little kid, and I think it was very formative. I was like 6 or 7 years old, and my father was always encouraging me to build little wooden things in his workshop. And he was building our house at the time. And I remember watching him, and he would take the hammer, and he would take the nail, and he'd go like this. He'd put the nail down, and he'd whack it really hard. And he could get it in sometimes in one stroke. And I was amazed by that. And I remember asking him, I said, "Daddy, how did you do that? Only one time." Because he had showed me how to do it, and it took me like 100 million times to beat in the nail. And he goes, "Well, I'll show you." And he said, "Here, you take the nail and you hold this." He said, "Here, hold this." And he said, "I'll whack it." And so I was 6 or 7 years old, you know, I wasn't thinking, right? And I thought for a second, well, wait a second. And then, so I put it here, and he went like this, and he went, and I went, whoop. And he said, no, really. He said, "You have to trust me." I was like, yeah, right. So I put the nail back, and he went like this again, and I pulled it away again. Well, anyway, finally, he told me that you have to hold it here, and then he just tapped it lightly like this, just a few times. And then he said, "Okay, now you let it go, and the nail will stand up by itself." It's called setting the nail. And then when it was standing up, then he whacked it, and it went straight in. but it took me a while to trust him for those first few little things. So I discovered that's why I'm very skeptical. I'm not easy to believe people. And the second thing I learned about myself when I went home this time was that my father loves to talk. He will talk to complete strangers about stuff that they really should not know about. So for example, I wanted to buy socks when I went home this time, and we all went in the car to Walmart, and I was just wandering around looking for socks, and my father disappeared, and I thought, well, that's good. I can shop in privacy. And then a minute later, I hear my father and a sales guy, and my father is telling us, he goes, yeah, my son wants to buy some socks. He might want to buy some underwear too. You know, he's back from wherever, and then he's just telling this salesperson my life story. I felt so embarrassed. And I realized that even when I was a kid, my father used to do this. And that's why I'm such a quiet person today, because I learned to keep my mouth shut. For example, when I was small, I remember we went to a restaurant, and I was always afraid to go to the toilet. And the reason is because I always think I can't see where, you know, like who knows where the toilet is in a restaurant? You may get lost going back to find your parents. That's what little kids are afraid of, right? So I remember one time we went to a restaurant, and I asked my father, I said, I have to go to the bathroom. And then he called the waitress over, and he said, oh, my son has to go to the toilet. Can you help him? He might have to go to do so. And he told the waitress the whole story, and this stranger lady took me to the toilet, and I'll never forget how embarrassing and humiliating that was. So anyway, make a long story short, I learned that I'm completely the opposite of my father. And thank you very much for listening to me.